Good morning. Good morning from Melbourne, Australia. Good evening to friends in North America, and hello to anyone watching on replay. My name is Nancy Hetker, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne, Australia. And today I wanted to take a minute at the beginning here and talk to you about Celebration. I haven't talked much about it this time. It is a 2-month period, twice a year this year. We're giving it a try for 2 sessions. Right now it's going on, it started at the beginning of August and it ends at the end of September. And what it is, when here in Australia you make a minimum purchase of $90 for, and you can choose something out of this Celebration brochure. So I wanted to take a moment and go through here with you because I'm not sure people know exactly what's going on with this. But there are a number of products in here that they show examples of using it with products from either our current mini or annual catalog. But for instance here, with a $90 minimum purchase, you can get a pack of this yummy bedazzling 6x6 paper. And you've seen me use this before, and I will keep using it because it is scrumptious. And like I said, they've got examples of it being used with other things out of the mini catalog. Then I'm just going to run through this really fast because there aren't a lot of them. Most of them are available with a $90 minimum purchase, which, as you know, is really easy to do. The next one is this Penguin Playmates Designer Series paper, and it coordinates with the Penguin Place bundle that's in the current mini catalog, and that looks like this. And the mini catalog, page 33. So it's a really cute bundle. It's got a stamp set and a coordinating builder punch. And people have done all kinds of cute punch art with this. And I think this is going to be fun to use, not just for holidays, but throughout the year for some really cute things. Here we have penguins year round, so I'm happy to have this. But then only now during Celebration can you get this paper that coordinates with the bundle. So it's on one side, it's got these really cute figures. This one is going to be able to be, I think, punched out with the punch. I haven't double checked that, but yes, I do believe that punches out with the punch. The rest of these are not going to be difficult to cut out by hand. Some cute snowmen and foxes in different poses. There's some others. These are going to be really cute to use on the sled. And fun springy colors, which is great. You know, they could be wintry, but they're also good for spring, which is our season here in Australia. And then on the other side, again, this is something Stampin' Up! Regularly does. They do the thematic ones on that side, and these coordinate with the theme as well, but they're much more neutral. So there's polka dots and little stars or asterisks, some fun stripes, different fun stripes. You know, much more thematically neutral. These are some pine trees, and those could work anytime. They're not particularly Christmassy. So that's a fun option to get for $90. On this page, I don't have either of these. It's, if you like line art, that's a really cute set. I've seen some really pretty things done with that. And if you're into black and white prints, this is another good one, and it's designed to go with hand penned in our annual catalog, which has been a very popular suite. So that's a nice option. I've seen pretty things with that. Peaceful Prints 12x12 paper. If you like to make Christmas cards, and you like to make lots of Christmas cards, this is a great option. It's designed to go with the Peaceful Deer bundle. I don't have that bundle. I don't plan to get that bundle, but I've already used this paper several times and I plan to use it more. There's really only one sheet that has that deer, and you can either fussy cut it or not cut it. See, there it is there. And just use it as is. some really nice prints. Hi Gladys and Renata. I am going to get to creating a card in just a minute. I'm just showing people some celebration options since we're down to the last 2 weeks of celebration, and I don't want people missing out. And this is my favorite, and I think it's a lot of people's favorite. This is the Counting Sheep stamp set and the sheep dies. And there's the stamp set and the dies. They are super cute. I think I have shown them on here before. I did a class with them, and here are the cards we did, and I'm showing these again because I have one more kit, and if you're here in Australia and you'd like to purchase the kit or the PDF for these cards, just drop me a line at nancysniftynotes.com. So that's Nancy at nancysniftynotes.com, and I will get you all set up with the kit or the PDF. Even with so the kit gets you all of everything except the sheep and pieces that can be cut with the Counting Sheep dies. So everything else. So if you don't have the basic borders dies, it doesn't matter. I've already cut those pieces for you. So you just need the Counting Sheep and the sheep dies and some ways of doing a little bit of coloring and your stamp pads to be able to make these cards. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll hook you up. What is next in here? Yes, textures and frames. If you like really kind of abstract or being able to build your own images, I've seen some people do some really fun Christmas ornaments using these stamps. Or if you really like the Shaded Summer stamp set in the annual catalog and you'd like coordinating dies, this is the first one in here. It requires $180 minimum purchase to be able to get these dies for free. This Textures and Frames is another $90 one. And then we get to the two stamp sets that I'm going to be using today. The first is Delicate Dahlias, and this is another one that is $180 minimum purchase to be able to get for free. And then the next one is the Celebration Host set. So if you have an order or a party that has orders totaling $500 Australian or more, you will automatically get this In Your Words stamp set. And the words in this stamp set are have all been suggested by demonstrators who wanted to see sentiments saying these things. I mean, there's a happy birthday, but we all need happy birthdays in all different shapes, sizes, and fonts. So these are very fun sentiments and fun fonts. And like I said, it's only available with that $500 order or party, workshop, whatever you want to call it. And if you would like to know how you can very quickly get together and order that size, or put together with your friends to get an order that size, again, contact me and I will be glad to help you here in Australia. And that's it for the celebration offerings. So let's make a card with these two sets. Get some things out of the way. And let's go. Okay, so I'm actually really organized today in that I know exactly what I want to make, and I made one yesterday. It's this card. And I think it's really, really pretty. And I'm going to make another one of these for you today. So the Delicate Dahlias set, bring that back in for a minute, has this very big blossom, which is what we're going to use today, and a smaller one. Now, I don't know if you've seen dahlias in real life. My mother-in-law's partner used to grow them, and they were called dinner plate dahlias, and they were literally this big. They were huge, and they have small, I think that was a particular hybrid that went that big, but you know, they are large flowers. And they're very, very pretty. And this set is a distinctive set, so it's got the outline stamp and then it's got the one that fills in, but because of the nature of the etching on it, it's got a lot of variation in the ink coverage, so it gives it a lot of depth, and I think it's very, very pretty. So I am going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat that I've covered with a piece of grid paper just to protect the mat if I stamp off the edge, which I'm probably going to be doing. And I also yesterday, before I made this card, I knew I wanted to be able to get it to look like this dahlia was in front of this one, which is in front of that one. And to do that, we actually wind up masking the flowers. And I'll show you how that works. So I made the masks first, and I stamped on these Post-it notes, but where most Post-it notes are mostly free paper with just a little strip of adhesive on them, these Post-it notes, they're called full sticky, and I know I've shown you these before, but now I have it all right to hand. So they're free just on the edge, and all the rest of this is sticky. So that makes them really good for making these masks, because I don't think I have any of the flower actually on the, well, this one does have a little bit on the non-sticky part, but that's fine. Most of it will just stay in place, which is great. So I'm going to move those off to the side for a moment and bring in my Memento ink. Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out is right when I got these, before I took them off the plastic backing to go into the case, I went ahead and I took a permanent marker. In this case, I took a Stampin' Blend, and at the equivalent petal on both of these, I put a dot of ink. Now this permanent ink, it won't come off when I clean off my stamps, but that just very quickly helps me line up. You know, if I always stamp with that facing up, that dot pointing that way, then I know when I come in to do this, I don't have to sit here figuring out how do these line up where all these petals look the same but they're different, because I've got that one marked, so I always know where that's going to go to fill. That's really, really helpful, and it's so much easier to take care of if you do it while the stamps are still on the sheets before you move them at all. So just inking up, and again with larger stamps I tend to bring the ink pad to the stamp, and I'm going to stamp down here towards the bottom. And I'm going to bring in, I'm going to do this, I'm so happy with how that one turned out. I'm going to do this one really the same way. See if I can get my alignment a little better. This is Highland Heather. Excuse me if my head gets in the way just a little bit. I'm going to stand up and see if I can look right over this. And then I'm pressing and holding to get as much ink transferred there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Really do like this set. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in one of my masks, and again, when I did my masks, I went ahead and I marked that same petal, so I don't have to sit here and figure out which way my mask goes on here. I know exactly how it goes. Now, when you stamp and trim these masks, you want to cut it down and even place it a little. You want to trim it within the outlines. Usually when we're fussy cutting, we trim to the outside of the stamp lines and leave a little bit of a border. That here you want to trim it not just close, but actually inside those lines. And that's because even as thin as these Post-its are, there is just a little bit of a shadow of unstamped area that happens. And I've explained this before, but not everybody has seen my videos. And so you don't have a ring of unstamped area. You can see I don't, like those flowers come right up to the edges there of one to the other. You don't have a shadow of white where it's not stamped. That's because I trimmed my mask inside those lines. So I'll show you, I think you'll be able to see when I stamp here that there is a space that is not stamped. And yeah, I don't think you can really see it on here. But trust me, there's a space that isn't stamped, and it's really small, but you can't tell that it's there because it's actually where that line is, as opposed to being on the other side of that line if I hadn't trimmed it in. So this is one of these trust me it's there situations. So I'm going to do Blushing Bride for this one. And again, I've got that dot there. I'm going to hopefully not get my head in the camera, but forgive me if I do for a moment because I want to get this really well lined up. Oh, I did get my head in the camera, sorry. Close up of my curls. Good morning, Jackie. Thanks for joining me. Ah, there we go. And put the Blushing Bride away. We're going to mask that one now. And again, I've got that petal marked, so I know it goes right there. Sometimes when I'm putting my mask on, just to make sure we get all the way up to the petals, I just pull my mask away a little bit, offset it away from the area I'm going to be stamping in. Re-ink the outline stamp. And stamp right on there. Oh, thanks, Jackie. Okay, so there's that one. I'm finished with this stamp, so I'm going to clean it off real fast. And bring in my Daffodil Delight on the fill stamp. You can see the texture on there now that I've got the ink on there. And I've got my, I'm going to pull this a little closer to me. Again, that marked petal is going to help me get well lined up. And there's that one. Okay, clean off this stamp. Okay, now we're going to do a few leaves. And I'm going to keep this masked because I want the leaves to look like they are coming out, you know, growing up back behind the flowers. So, got my border stamp again. Do one here. Do one here. I think what I'll try doing this time, I'm going to lift this mask and I'm going to move it to this one. And I'm going to do some leaves right there. Okay. Oh, shoot. I'm going to have to move that back again, aren't I? Okay. That's fine. That wasn't thought through. Should have done the inside stamping first before I move that. That's okay. We know how to line it up. Okay, so this is Pear Pizzazz. And we will do this one first since the masks are in place. Go. Move this mask back again. Yeah. There we go. Okay. What I should have done was stamp the insides of these with the masks still in place and then moved and done that outline inside, but I forgot. So I didn't, but this should be fine. And it was easy because I had marked those petals. There we go. Clean this stamp and let you anticipate what it's going to look like for a minute. Make sure this one is clean. Okay, let's see what we've got here. One mask off. And the other mask off. Yay! It worked. Oh, I've got one little example, and I can spot it, but whoever receives this card probably won't even notice. But I can show you what I was talking about. When I put that mask back on, or when it was on to begin with, it was probably shifted a little bit this way. There's one little point there where there's that white, I call it a shadow, but really it's a white gap between where I stamped and the mask, because the mask was too far that way. If it had been back this way, it would have come all the way up to that line like it does everywhere else. So that's what I was talking about, and that's why you want to trim your mask inside the lines. Sometimes, you know, quite a bit. It's fine because it comes right up onto the petals, and it's fine. It's better than having this white ring all the way around your flower. So that's that. Now what I did on this card is I cut it down with a stitched rectangle die, and I'm going to do that again here. So I'm going to bring in my cut and emboss machine. And I've got my die here. Now I just need to figure out which part of this I want to keep, which is hard because it's all really pretty, right? But I want to think about where my sentiment is going to go and how I want to frame all this up, what I want to be complete and what I want to be partial. I'm going to go about there. There we go. So that's what I've cut off, and that's what I've kept. We'll see, maybe this one's horizontal. And let's see, maybe this one will go vertical. We'll see. So I've got my other pieces here. What I do is I just cut 2 rectangles of basic black to be able to frame that. I'm going to go ahead and work on my sentiment while I decide what I want, whether I want that to be horizontal or vertical again. So I'm bringing in my embossing buddy. I know Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry them anymore. I have some that I sell at cost here in Australia. If you don't have one and you would like one, again, Nancy at nancysniftynotes.com, and I will hook you up. I think it's invaluable. It gets rid of any oils or static when you're going to do heat embossing. And I'm going to do this same sentiment from, this is again out of the Celebration Host set, In Your Words. And it says, I see you and you are wonderful. And that's a really nice affirming sentiment for anyone. I'm stamping it in Versamark, the very clear, sticky ink that we have that will cling on to this embossing powder, or let the embossing powder cling on the cardstock. Bring in my embossing tools, if you will. I just use one of the square Stampin' Up! Boxes just to help contain everything. This is white embossing powder, which is now sold as part of a trio of embossing powder. I think they call them basics. They also sell a trio of metallics. So there's that. And then this is my heat tool, and I'm going to go ahead, got some tweezers here, and I'm, just to protect my fingers, This is the heat tool. It's not quite as hot as a heat gun that you use to remove wallpaper, maybe, but it's hotter than a hair dryer, and the fan is less forceful than a hair dryer, and it just melts up that embossing powder. You can see it goes from kind of a powdery, grainy cream color to a glossy, bright white. There we go. There it is. So I'll put that right there that we can all think about it as we watch me have fun cutting now. So this I just fussy cut out. So ask me questions, chat to me about your life, whatever. I will keep looking here on the comments to see what you're saying. It's really hard to do a lot of thoughtful conversation and wield the scissors. But you will notice I am, for the most part, turning the paper and not the scissors to get the shape I want. I am not the best at this. I keep practicing to get better. One of the things I've learned over the years is keep your eye on where you want to wind up, and that gets you there better. Pretty good. Sometimes I find the more I futz, the worse it gets. So I'm going to do very limited futzing here. There we go. Better there. What do you think? You like it? Portrait? Oh, good. Jackie, I'm glad you found a good use for it. What do you think? Should we do one portrait and one landscape? I think so. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside for a moment. Those aside for a moment. The easiest way I've found to get good alignment on these is to line up on my grid paper, and I'm going to go one grid mark up and one grid mark in for my placement. And I'm going to take some glue, and I always say put it on the smaller piece, which is actually what I'm doing. It's not usually the base piece, but in this case it is. So lining up here with one grid and here with one grid, really with one grid. Scoot over. There we go. That should be pretty darn straight. do the same thing with this one. Because the glue does ooze out some, I'm not worried about going right up to the edge of where I think I need to be. It will be plenty of glue. There we go. And I've got cut for the inside as well. Go ahead and get that in. Oh, on my other card, I remembered to stamp. I'll show you in a minute. Stamp on the inside before I glued. This one I didn't. It's okay. Here's that one where I stamped inside. This one's not going to be stamped inside because I forgot, but that's okay. So we're going to glue here, and just because it's a little heavier with all the layers, a little bit in the middle. That's kind of straight. And then somebody asked me the other day in one of my classes if I ever use the black dimensionals, and I said not very often. She said, when would you do it? And I said, well, usually probably doing like black to black, but I found on this one it works really well with this one too, because I don't really want a strip of white showing out from under there. So what I did was I took this bit of mini dimensionals, and they've got really nice wide border pieces. So I just cut a really thin strip from there. Hopefully I got that thin enough to go under there, yes. So then we just do a really careful placement on there. And if I wanted to, I could do another little snippet. Down here at this end. Or really good with the fussy cutting, I'd put that all back behind there and then fussy cut them together, but no, that's not happening. That I think is going to work just fine. And I said right across there, I think. Here we go. I spent some time yesterday playing with couple different embellishments. I decided maybe not. So it kind of looks like it wants some sparkle. But I decided to leave it like that. So there we go. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for joining me, Ruth. I'm so glad you got to join us today. And Jackie, Gladys, as always, nice to see you. And Renata, I will be back same time, same place next week with another project. And in the meantime, you can catch me on my Facebook page, Nancy's Nifty Notes, or at my blog at nancysniftynotes.com. Oh, I know, I did have one more thing I wanted to show off to you all. I am doing a class featuring the Tidings and Trimmings bundle. And there is still time to get in, if you're here in Australia, to get a kit or the PDF for the first session. This is going to be a 3-month series, and the first month is going to be these 4 cards. If you're in Australia, you can get the kit, or you can get just the PDF to make them. So again, Nancy at nancysniftynotes.com if you want in on that. I have the class will be on Saturday the 25th. We'll have a Zoom assembly session. You can grab the PDF and cut your own materials, or you can get a kit from me. I will do my best to get it to you. Australia Post dependent. And you can Zoom along with us to assemble your cards. Or if you've got the PDF, of course, you can do it on your own time. So enjoy, have a great week, and I will see you. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.